Sarah or Melissa, are you gonna call roll?
Yes, sir.
Melissa's here taking the place of Carla. Carla had an accident, so she's out. Joanne's out. Be careful going over to City Hall, please.
There was a
Had a 4-car wreck
Yeah.
going this afternoon too, so
city hall. blast.
avoid City Hall and commercial where they're tearing down the barn over there. Anyway, Melissa, will you call roll?
Yes, sir. Ms. Parker, absent. Mr. Robinson,
Here.
Mr. Bowen,
Here.
Ms. Cordova,
Here.
Mr. Heflin, absent.
No, he's here.
Oh, he's here. Psych.
Sorry,
Wrong half one.
Mr. Heflin,
Here.
Mr. Lopez,
Here.
Mr. Lucero,
Here.
and Mr. Miller, absent.
There you go.
We have quorum.
And your mayor's here too.
And the mayor's here.
County prison. All right. First order of business is invocation. Oscar's gonna lead us in the invocation. We'll all stand and then I'll lead us in the pledge of space. Oscar, thank you, Mayor.
Father in heaven, we come to you again tonight to ask you to continue to bless this community and the people who live within it. Continue to be with our employees as they go about their daily work. Father, we ask you to watch over the mayor, watch over the city council people, watch over everyone who makes sure that our community is prosperous under your humility and your love. In Christ I pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of Mexico, with the symbol of perfect justice among the United States.
Right in, have a seat. Take a seat. Job, next is scheduled business items for discussion and action. Item A is minutes of the previous meeting that was held February 28th, 2023. Those minutes are in your packet. Any changes or additions? Otherwise, I would entertain approval of the minutes, please.
Move to approve.
Second. Motion to approve by Mr. Lucero, a second by Mr. Lopez. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right. Next item is a proclamation declaring Small Business Day. Sandra Sawyer. Taylor Sawyer. I always mix that up for you. I'm sorry. But we appreciate it. Let me read this proclamation and we'll present it to you to take back to your office, okay? This proclamation reads, whereas the city of Portales celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy by creating jobs. And whereas America's entrepreneurs are innovators who take risks on ideas, invest in our communities, create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities. Their skills and creativity not only support their own families, but they also make our neighborhoods vibrant places to live and work and fuel the city's economic strength. And whereas the New Mexico Small Business Development Center continues to build the New Mexico economy one business at a time. Since 1989, the NMSBDC network has assisted hundreds of New Mexico's existing small businesses with technical management expertise needed to succeed and grow. And whereas the New Mexico Small Business Development Center plays a leading role for small businesses by helping to access capital, identifying market opportunities, including exports, and our first responders when disaster strikes. And whereas the NMSBDC works with other small business administrative partners, SCORE, Veterans Business Outreach Centers, Women's Business Centers to support our businesses. And whereas our region supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities. And now, therefore, I, Ronald L. Jackson, Mayor of the City of Portales, do hereby proclaim March 15th as Small Business Development Center Day. Urge all residents of our community and communities across the country to support local small businesses on today and throughout the year. Andrew, appreciate you being here. I've signed one of these for you if you want to come up and get it. I send people to you all the time, I hope.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Item C is recognition of fire department's personnel achievements. Chief Kathy?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Last month, we received an extremely kind comment on one of our Facebook posts by one of our great community members that read, "I have to thank you so much for one of the EMTs that was at the ER on Sunday, which was February 26th, the day the wind was so bad. I am 74 on oxygen. I was there with COPD exacerbation, got out to my car, thought I would blow away. I had to dig all the tumbleweeds out from under my car. I could barely breathe. Tried to open my car door and the wind wouldn't let me. All of a sudden, a hand reaches over and said, 'I've got the door, you get in. I'll hold it open until you're in.' She said, I was crying now because I didn't get his name and hope I thanked him. Thank you, whoever it was. I was worried in that wind. God bless you." After a little investigating, I found out it was this gentleman here, who was already on the agenda because he began his employment with us on November 1st of 2021, obtained his EMT basic and firefighter 1 and 2 of June of 22, and obtained his EMT intermediate last month, which with all those accomplishments, he has earned his serialized PFT challenge point.
No speech? Thank you very much for your service. I appreciate
Great
everything you did. Chief, thanks. Good job. Okay, item D is official appointment of Carla Weems to deputy clerk to include the rights and authorities to perform all duties required for the municipal clerk to be sworn in by the city attorney. Of course, she's not here tonight, but we still need to take action on this with Joanne's help. What it is, and our deputy clerk injured. She'll be back though. We need to move Carla into that deputy clerk position. Is that right, Steve?
Yes, that's correct. It's basically the mayor's appointment with the council approval.
So we need a motion.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Doug.
Make a motion, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Bowen, a second by Mr. Robinson. All in favor. Do we need a roll call? No. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, thanks. Takes care of that housekeeping business. That'd be good. Keep your prayers for Joanne going too. All right, item E is authorization of the mayor to sign and execute, take other actions for a property located at 1028 West Community Way. That is the location of our future new home to our city hall. Sarah?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. This is a formality to finalize the paperwork that will be signed by the mayor tomorrow. And this would be to authorize him to sign on behalf of the city. And so we just have to turn this in with the paperwork that he's going to sign.
Any questions? Or was that closing tomorrow or the
Yes.
next day?
It'll be tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Any questions?
Still looking at moving in there by like midsummer, you said?
May. That's our goal for now, provided we can get all the supplies in to do some of the minor work that needs to be done. And I do want to remind the public and everybody else this is done with American Recovery Funds, not something that's coming out of the city funds.
Now, when we were looking at that too, I've got this question probably late in the game, but did we acquire that property that's adjacent to the other side of the?
No, they did not want to sell for what it appraised for
Okay,
at this time.
okay. Anyway. So we're just getting the building, the parking lot and that portion of it that's
Yes,
back
sir.
there.
Yes,
Will we still have the pass-through?
I believe it's an easement, so we should still have access to do the pass-through.
Probation and parole is moving out of there, so they should be
Are they moving down to the Floyd Highway?
No, they're
right there
moving.
next to Sonic.
Yeah.
The old used car dealership.
Oh, is that
Yes.
what they're
That's
remodeling
what
that
it
for? I thought that was gonna be another marijuana.
So that's what
Maybe they'll
they're
move,
doing.
maybe we'll have a marijuana store right across from City Hall.
Yes.
Anyway, I'd entertain action on this item, please.
So moved. Second.
Motion to approve by Mr. Lucero, second by Mr. Bowen. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All righty, moving right along. Item F is an agreement between the city of Dallas and the Eastern New Mexico Water Utility Authority. Been a member of that thing for 6 years now, and I still can't.
It's a lot of
And
words.
Jim, help me out.
Yeah.
Orlando. Orlando's here.
Yes.
He says, spit it out there, Mayor. Anyway, Sarah, Orlando, you guys want to talk to us about this a little bit?
Yes, this is an agreement that myself and Mr. Ortega went back and forth on between ourselves and our attorneys. And this is the final agreement, and it's just allows them to come in. They'll with notice shut down the road if they have to do any repairs or any upgrades, maintenance to it. And this just allows for that in advance.
Any questions for Orlando or Miss Austin on this? Well, Orlando, appreciate you being here. But we're moving right along with that fresh water. It's B, right? We're on B. That'll bring it from the Air Base Highway to Boston. And that's where we may have some rough and stuff on that side. Anyway, I'd entertain action on this road, street.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Mr. Lopez to approve, a second by Mr. Robinson. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Orlando. Item G is a renewal of the loan agreement with the National Museum of the Air Force for the F-111 static display. Sarah and I discussed this a little bit this afternoon, and I know that we're having some fundraiser efforts going on throughout the community for repainting that. We don't have fiscal impact on this report, but there actually is a fiscal impact to the city. And this is a 4-year contract or a.
Yes, it is a 4-year agreement and it's to be renewed every 4 years.
Yeah, you know, and part of the agreement and this, the whole thing's in your package. You feel free to read it. And I think you said we thought we had about 3,000 raised of the 30,000 to upgrade the paint and everything on it.
Yes, the paint has to be done by somebody who's certified to restore it or by a current military base. And right now the restoration quote that we have is for a little more than 28,000. And there is a fundraiser going on at the RCCDC, and they've raised a little over $2,200 at this time.
And how often are we required to upgrade that? The
I
paint,
believe it's
whatever?
as needed as the wear and tear happens.
When was the last time we painted?
I don't think it has been done since we've had it, as far as my knowledge goes.
Once.
I was thinking
Done what?
once too.
Yeah.
Orlando, does that sound right? Once, maybe?
At one time.
Yeah.
It was installed in 1996.
Yeah,
Okay, so yeah, it had to have been done.
I think we painted it once. And if memory serves, that was about 20,000, I thought, but I thought the city pulled it on that.
Mhm.
So it's 10,000 more now, which is probably surprisingly low.
Yeah.
Comparatively. But we may have some other options for some funds on there, but I just want to make it aware, the city, that we do have some fiscal responsibility for that.
Yes, if we can't
Display.
fundraise, he's correct. We will have to put the bill.
And
This
that may have to come in the budget later on at a different time.
You said there's fundraising activity going on, Sarah.
Yes, sir.
Who, is it on Facebook? You know, I don't do Facebook or anything like that.
We do have it advertised. We have it advertised to the chamber and RCCDC, and donations can be dropped off at RCCDC because they're a nonprofit.
RCDC?
Yeah.
That's through Jody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe we can put it on our website too.
We have had it on there. We might have to just renew the, yeah.
Just put it, maybe a running.
Rolling.
Something like
Okay,
things, ongoing things or something like that.
thank
We
you.
can do that. Add that.
And that's no kind of a donation. What am I looking for? What am I looking for? Anti-donation.
No, because it's going through economic development, not the city.
It's with another governmental entity too, so.
Okay, good. Don't want to get in trouble,
Right? No, we made sure.
but I don't want that thing to cost us a lot of money either. You know what I mean? I mean, that's a fine display and it's good, but
It's really great to see the community stepping up.
it wouldn't hurt.
Doing
Yeah,
donations.
that's right. It wouldn't hurt my feelings to see it go away, but that's just me. Anyway. Item G is the renewal of the loan agreement for the F-111 plane display. I want to entertain action on that
Motion to approve.
renewal.
Second.
Motion to approve by Mr. Heflin, a second by Mr. Robinson. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Then we all feel the same way. All right, item H is approval of a financial terms agreement with the American Tower site. Sarah?
American Tower is, I'm on the wrong page. Give me just one minute. Sorry. American Tower has, they have towers set up on our property. And this is a formality to renew the agreement as well. This one is, option, they gave two options for the renewal. One, they're saying is a rent reduction, and all that I can find in the history, and I have it with me, is the amount they offered last time was, I believe, 20,000, and this year they're offering 5,000 initially, but the rent itself, the monthly rent is actually going up from 1335 to 1375. Or option two would be to pay one-time payment of 260,000, but that would be a perpetual easement, which is not something that the city is prepared to offer at this time.
So there is a physical impact.
This is what they would be paying us to maintain their system on our property.
Oh, okay.
And this is what their offers are at this time.
Is this the tower that's located by the police department or?
I think this is one that's located by the water tank.
Oh, the one out of
That
back-
rotary?
Rotary?
Right.
Oh,
So it's attached to Rotary?
Yeah.
So that's not. Okay. So we're still making money by having that tower there.
Yes.
Whose job is it to upkeep that as far as painting it and that upkeep as well?
The tank itself is
Yeah.
our job, is.
So it'd be our job on that.
Yes, sir.
I think that's just something we need to consider if that's the truth, because we're sooner or later, we're gonna have to do some upkeep on it.
Yes.
And if the jet's 30,000,
Can you imagine what the tower would be?
exactly. But sooner or later, we're gonna have to do something with it.
Yes, sir.
Big crane down there.
But that was just a thought. For the notes. For the minutes.
Yes.
At least we're making money off the tower. Maybe we need to start saving that 1,375 for paint.
Yes.
All right,
Agree.
this is a tower renewal of a contract.
Motion to approve.
Do we have to say what option we want to go with?
Yeah, which
For
option?
option one, sorry.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Cordova made a motion to approve for option one. Mr. Lopez made a second for option one. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Option one it is. Item I is the ratification of ZOLL contract for EMS billing. Chief or Sarah, you talking about this?
Yeah, I did tell Chief I'd take the lead on this one. I did sign the contract in advance. We had to sign it at the time to lock in the 5-year agreement. The 1-year payments are within my budget authority, but because it's a 5-year agreement, it was over budget authority, and I needed to bring this to you to ratify. The amount for 5 years is 92,000. This will help Patty with her EMS billing rate, and she's very good at what she does. So I would like to give her the tools she can to remain successful. I or Chief stand for any questions you may have.
She being Patty?
Yes,
Yes.
and Emma, yes.
Yeah. Good. Any questions for the fire chief or Sarah on this item? I'd entertain action on ratification of the Zoll contract.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lucero, a second by Ms. Cordova. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Item J is approval of a Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Design Build a Grease Use Agreement for the skate park.
So staff,
After,
yes, sir. Staff,
we got pictures.
that is parks they've done before. And then we'd like to go with Sourcewell. They are on a cooperative, so we are asking to have authorization to submit notice of obligation to the LGD for the approval of this contract, which will be for the amount of $688,385 plus NMGRT of $55,501.04 for a total of $743,886.04. The cost proposal funding includes grant funds of $728,385 and a local match of $15,501.04 for a total of $743,886.04. And the $15,000 local match is also something that we'll be doing some in-kind service for, so it may not necessarily be a financial impact. It might be also our street crew and parks crew out doing some work as well.
Do we have any kind of actual design yet?
No, not yet. So we're still in that phase right now. So this would approve the start of that process, and we'll be bringing those designs to you as we get them.
And one of the things I was reading along these lines is infrastructure that's already there at the park. As far as water lines or anything like that, that's gonna be. And we'll be addressing that before they start construction, I'm
yes.
sure.
Yeah, and that'll be part of our in-kind stuff to take care of getting the groundbreaking ready and everything like that. And I did, Oscar, just so you know, I did speak to the Little League and they don't have a problem with the skate park going in there.
Oh, that's good because I do get that in writing from them.
Okay, I can do
I
that.
would suggest you get that in writing because anyway, Mayor know where I'm coming from on that. What's the pump track?
So it's a multimodal track, which will be skateboarding, bicycle, which is your pump,
Okay,
rollerblades, roller skates,
okay.
wheelchairs.
I read through that. I said, what time? I said, I asked in public, what is the pump track? I didn't know. Thank you.
I'm learning that too, so that's a good question. And if you guys want to know some of the work they've done Bernalillo County. That was a $500,000 project, and they're fixing to do a project in Jal, which will be really nice.
In Jowl.
They're getting the skate park, yes.
And I don't know how Jowl got so much damn money.
Sarah, thanks for asking me.
Yes, sir.
Get it in writing from me.
Yes, sir.
Just the CYA, just the CYA. All right, the skate park. This is money that's coming from the. Falling out of the sky. Let's spend it.
Mayor, I make a motion, we accept the skate park contract.
Oh, second.
Motion by Mr. Robinson, a second by Mr. Heflin. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Resolution. That is 22-23-35 approving an application for local road funds. Sarah?
Yes, this one will be presented by Steve and Miss Joe. If you guys have questions, they're the ones that put in for these grants.
Hi, Joanne.
Mayor, council. This first one is a resolution 22-23-35. It's a LGRF fund and request for a match waiver. It'll be designed street drainage infrastructure improvement for concrete from intersections of Kilgore and 18th Street to Jackson Avenue on 18th Street and intersection of South Avenue I and 18th Street. The estimated design phase is 149,557, 75% state that 112,168, 25% match of 37,389. If a waiver for the design is not granted, and then right here. And it's for that part right there. That's the first one.
Is that the concrete area? The black area, yeah, on the map that we're looking at from Kilgore to Jackson? Is that concrete the whole area? It's just for planning.
That part is for planning, but we are asking for concrete if we can get the grant.
It'd be nice.
Yes, sir.
Too bad we can't get the whole thing, huh? For 112,000. Anyway, that's that first portion. Mr. Chavez is the 18th Street.
Correct.
Okay. You want to do them one at a time since they're different
That's what I was
resolutions?
about to ask, yeah.
Okay, yeah, since they're different ones, let's To entertain action on resolution 22-23-35, please.
So moved.
Second,
Motion to approve by Mr. Heflin, a second by Mr. Bowen. Want a roll call on these?
Yes, it's a resolution.
Miss Melissa, would you do us a roll call, please?
Mr. Robinson,
yes.
Mr. Bowen,
Yes.
Ms. Cordova,
Yes.
Mr. Heflin,
Yes.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Lucero.
Yes.
Good job. Good job, Steve. Okay, the second item is resolution 22-23-26.
Yes.
And this is what street system?
Avenue O and H.
36.
Avenue on 18th Street.
Okay, down by that also right there. In the rec center,
This one's a map fund
fun center.
and request for a match waiver. And that's for a design of the street, drainage, infrastructure, concrete at the intersection of Avenue O and 18th Street. Design phase is 44,070. 75% for by the state for 33,052 and 25 for the local match, which will be 11,018 if waiver is not granted.
If a waiver is not granted.
Yes.
Any questions for Steve on that one? That's 18th. That's your second picture, yeah.
That right there is also right, Mayor.
Yeah.
I just have one question.
Also, it's, oh, the other side, oh, O is.
Also, this is the one about also the fun center. Oh, is the next picture, the last one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or am I looking at them in the wrong one?
Steve, was there a reason we chose this?
Is the second one's O.
Yeah, the second one is 18
Okay, I followed you.
Was there a reason you chose this section right here?
That's the worst part of it.
Okay,
That's-
so we want everything to go towards 18th and then head on out, right? That's the idea?
Yeah, and that has the most traffic on it.
Okay, thank you.
But the one we're voting on right now is this
36.
18th and O.
You know.
18th and O.
18.
I was looking at the wrong one too.
They're all tied
Well,
together.
I'm gonna have to question anyway.
18th and O just keeps coming up.
Yes.
Back. Well, I thought we approved it 3 years ago.
Mhm. I don't know. How long did you say ago?
3?
I can't answer that.
Is this?
John DeShay should have an answer.
I
John
can
DeShay
find
should
out.
have. Has it not been on our list that long?
Yeah, but I don't think the funding came through to.
Yeah, if they didn't get the funding, we're just re-asking.
Okay, gotta give it another shot. I'll shut up.
I just have one question, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
The agenda shows 22, 33, 36, and the resolution is 22, 23. And then the 35 and 36. I didn't know if that mattered. You see,
22, 23, 36.
so the agenda shows 22, 33, 36, and the resolution is
I
22,
think
20.
as long as the resolution.
Okay,
The only
Is
thing,
it-
yeah,
23 or is it
typo
33?
there. Should be.
It's the one that's gonna be on the resolution. That's all.
No problem. That's fine.
Yeah, they're all 3 wrong. aren't
So
they?
23, 23, 30.
Yeah, should be 23 on all of them.
22, 23, 35 is the one we already approved. 22, 23, 36 is the one we're on now.
Yeah.
And they all should be on the agenda. They all should be 22, 23.
Oh, they say 33. Okay, yeah, that was a typo.
Yeah, that's no problem. I just didn't know if that would mess up. We would have to.
The
bring it back.
resolution is correct. The agenda is not correct.
Okay. That's correct.
Yes.
The resolution is actually 22-23-36.
56.
Yes.
36.
36, sorry, you're right, sorry.
Hey.
Sorry. I was just throwing, confused a little.
Numbers. Okay, and this is 18 and O.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the resolution 22, 23, 36.
Motion by Ms. Cordova, a second by Mr. Robinson. Resolution, please. Melissa, would you read the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Bowen,
Yes.
Ms. Cordova,
Yes.
Mr. Heflin,
Yes.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes.
and Mr. Lucero.
Yes.
Thank you. The third one is resolution 23-23.
22, 23, 57.
Damn it.
37.
37.
37, yeah. Sorry.
So this one has the resolution wrong. Nope.
No, the resolution's correct. The agenda item's wrong.
And on this one. So. It should be 22-2337.
Yes, sir.
And this is Avenue I.
This is when we were talking about.
Yeah, this is this gym that's down there by Alsop's in the Fun
So-
Center.
This is what, oh.
There, I have a question. Oh,
Chad,
does
go
he-
ahead.
Does he need to read? Go ahead, Steve.
Okay.
You need to read it off first.
This one's a proposal to submit a TBF application for shovel-ready construction for payment. Rehab improvements, construction, reconstruction, drainage improvements, signage, striping, sidewalk improvements, and miscellaneous. Is from Avenue K from Highway 70, 2nd Street to 14th Street. The estimated cost is $984,802, 95%, which is $935,562 state and 5% local match for $49,240 if a waiver is not granted.
I ask a question about the waiver.
Yes, sir.
Mayor and Steve and Sarah, do we have any control over the waiver or we just, we at the mercy of the transportation department?
We are at the mercy of the transportation department. What they do is they look at our street budget compared to the grant amount we're asking, and that's how they make the determination.
So it's possible we may get waived on our match.
There's a possibility, yes.
Anything we can do to enhance that possibility?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Steve,
This is Avenue K. This is Avenue K. It's not on either one of our maps that I saw. A picture. We have a picture of this
Avenue K, that's one from the university.
Yeah, this one we don't have a picture on.
from the next one to what?
Oh, you're right.
Okay, I apologize.
You're right.
Yeah, we don't have it.
So this is from Highway 70 south to Guadalupe Hall. The
Yeah,
whole thing.
But they're gonna just go up to 14th right now for the first base. 14th Street.
Because of the amount is so much.
All right, that's not that far.
No,
We're taking out their speed bumps. Loves a speed bump.
That's a heck of a good matching, though, 5%.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was submitted by Joe
5%
yesterday.
on everything.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. All right, so this is Avenue K. That's back again, because we didn't get funding on it before either, right?
Yes.
Let's give it another shot. This is resolution 22-23-37.
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to approve by Mr. Robinson, a second by Mr. Bowen. One more time, Melissa, with the roll call, please.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Bowen,
Yes.
Ms. Cordova,
Yes.
Mr. Heflin,
Yes.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes.
and Mr. Lucero.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
and on the 27th, the striping will be done on 18th Street.
We're going down the side or what are we?
Yeah, we're going down the side from D all the way to O.
This was Daniel's request and
We're
Parker.
giving them no parking over there.
I don't think we're gonna do no parking,
Can't do no parking really, because
Yeah.
the resident.
Yeah, so it's residential.
but it will be striped, so it will look nice.
Look better anyway, won't it?
We just have a problem with people that like to pass, and this way it can be enforced.
Yeah.
No pass.
Now you said striping, you talking about the yellow lines?
Well, the edge, we already got the center, we're gonna do the edge one now.
Double yellow, isn't it?
The double,
The
yeah.
double right now.
People like to pass on the right when you go to pull into like the.
Oh, yeah.
I asked
So
one
now
question
stripe.
about the striping.
We can
The
enforce
problem
it.
with that. If it's striped, you won't be able to.
Oh, but why?
I didn't make that law.
You
just enforce it.
Since the sheriff is talking, I need to ask him a question.
Sorry. Well, I'm not the sheriff.
Well, the deputy sheriff. If that's in all of the interest to the farmers, to the school, James, the yellow line is solid.
Right,
Should those lines have been broken?
chief?
This means you can't pass, doesn't mean you can't.
Or it mean you can't pass,
But you can
can't
turn.
Okay,
The ones on the edge will be broken. They're not gonna cross the intersections.
okay.
So they'll be broken at intersections.
Correct.
Yes.
Intersections and driveways.
Intersection and drive well.
Correct.
Okay, good answer. Thank you.
Stephen.
That's kind of all on that discussion. Thanks, Steve. Good job. Each time it's getting better, bud. Item L is a recommendation approval from the chief of police and the city manager. Sarah,
Yes, and I'd like to point out that on the resolution, the agenda, that it should be 22-23-38.
That again?
The resolution and the agenda is wrong. It should be resolution 22-23-38.
Always got
somebody got hooked up on 33, didn't we?
Yeah.
So,
That would be me. I got hooked up on 33.
I like
Oh, I see down
taking the
below.
blame.
Yes.
Title's right, but the summary's wrong.
223-38. Carry on.
Here.
Tell us about this resolution.
This is a grant that Chief Williams and several different police chiefs in the state were able to get funded for their departments to help with retention and retainment. The grant's for $525,000 paid out by 3 years. Year one will be $300,000, and we have until the end of May to expend $300,000. What I'd like to do is offer to focus on retention for year one, where we offer the stipend to our officers that we have. A lot of them have been here for a long time. And I think it's important that we show them our appreciation by them being loyal to the city. Options year two and year three will be something that we will focus on recruitment for, because we'll have a little bit longer time to get creative on how we can bring in officers and recruit them. I did provide 3 options in the grant. All 3 options has an amount, a stipend amount for the officers, as well as if we do get anybody new before the end of May. So the first part of this would be accepting the grant.
Accepting the grant accepting the grant for 525
For 525.
total amount. The
Yes,
total
sir.
amount. We have to accept the whole 525.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And then the second part will be how we disperse, how we're gonna spend it.
Yep.
Okay. So resolution 22-23-38 is the whole grant of 525,000. We're voting to accept that grant.
Yes, sir.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Heflin, a second by Mr. Bowen. Melissa, will you read the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Bowen,
Yes.
Ms. Cordova,
Yes.
Mr. Heflin,
Yes.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Lucero.
Yes.
Okay, good job. That is one that's in our, we'll need to sign that, guys, before you leave tonight. So you'll get that submitted right away. But that's in there. Sarah, go ahead and talk to us about how you want to disperse this then.
In your packet, I gave you guys 3 options, option 1, 2, and 3. Option 1, respectfully, is the one that I'm recommending. It does give a larger stipend to our officers, but again, I really think it's important we say thank you for all the work you've done for the years you've been here. And it offers $8,000 sign-on bonus if we can recruit anybody, which we're still going to be focusing on. But the grant is meant to retain officers and to recruit, and that's why I planned it out this way with these 3 options. And I will stand for any questions that you have on any of the 3 options.
These options does not need to be sent to the state with the previous resolution, right?
No.
This is just more in-house,
This is in-house, yes.
so these can be amended. We can pick an option, but if there's something that comes up, we can amend it.
So if we don't say we don't, the only part we'll be able to amend is if we don't recruit that, the other part of that allotment will need to go back into probably the retention part.
Okay.
And sit as a stipend. But I did break it up on the right-hand side so you could see that.
Thank you.
Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So on these payouts, are you going to require for them to stay a certain amount of time after
Yes,
they
ma'am.
receive this? Okay.
So that will be number 3 on the agenda item that you guys will
Okay.
approve a contract. I have a recommendation. That's why I'm holding it that one till the end.
Okay, perfect. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Myself. And one more question, sorry. Is this the so this is different from those funds that we were talking about last time?
The one that Chief brought at the last meeting,
Yes.
it's the same. It's the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is a grant that does not hit the budget for the city. It is just a grant. And it is a one-time grant that Chief Williams was a big part in helping get approved. He went up there and helped speak on behalf of officers and how important it was to not only retain but recruit. So it is just a grant. It's a one-time grant.
One-time grant over 3 years.
Yes, sir.
One question, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Sarah, when you say revert back to staff, what do you mean?
So if we don't recruit 4 people by June of this year,
Mhm.
we would like to give the stipend back to the staff so we don't have to send any of the grant back. We'd like to expend all of the grant.
So this is a way that you can use all of the funds.
Yes, sir. It's
Okay.
an option to be able to use all the funds.
Good.
And this first allotment is 300,000 and we're trying to spend it before the end of May.
Would you have to come back to us to disperse that, or would you just do that on?
I respectfully put it in this way so it could be done in one shot.
It's an operational deal anyway, though, isn't it?
Mayor, May.
Yes, sir.
Chief, just let your folks know whatever decision we make, there's tax implications that I believe that grant our bonuses are taxed at a different level than normal, so.
Take that when typically when have them put in their paycheck, so it really comes out really good stuff right at the end.
Yeah, don't worry about that. They have sticker shock at the end when IRS cometh.
They'll-
Yes.
Doing it, when it does it, they'll appreciate it. Come February.
It'll hit them
That's
all
good.
now and then in February they shouldn't see it.
So
hit them.
she'll take it all out now.
Right.
That's good.
Yeah, and over 3, I don't know if you noticed, but it is over 3 months of a payout. It won't be all at once.
Any other questions? Okay, so we're voting on an option. 1, 2, or 3.
Mayor, do you have a preference, please?
Yeah.
I like option 1 myself. The only thing that I would put in on also. I guess we can get to that on the exhibit. On the item 3, the exhibit B. Which is the required contract for at least 1 year. From the date of the last allocation, which will be in May, is that right?
Yes. It's just a short window, yes.
3 years sounds good to me.
And that will be, I was gonna respectfully ask for that in option 3 instead of a 1 year, a 3 year.
Okay,
So you like option 1?
yeah, I like option 1. Oh, no, yeah, I'm sorry, option 1 is the same option.
I also agree with you, Mayor.
Do we make a motion on that?
Yeah.
Mayor, I move that we adopt
Yes, there's a-
option 1.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm just, so the more, sorry, I have one.
Where
more
you going to
question.
debate before
Okay.
seconds?
You
Mayor?
got another
What?
option.
So no, I was just saying, I'm not gonna, no one has to second. He just made the motion on the floor, so it's, there's a motion on the
Are
floor.
you making a debate?
I don't have Diane on next
The
week.
the payouts are based on years of service. Is that why they're different?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just want to make sure I.
I did think it was important to note who's been here the longest. And I thought that was why I took that in consideration, who's been here.
So
the
there's
longest.
18 employees and these are their hire dates.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure I was on the right page.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm done with my debate, Chad.
So can I make the motion now?
You've already made it.
You already made it.
Already made. it.
Yes.
Second.
Time
For
in
option
for a
1.
second. So option 1 is the motion by Mr. Robinson and a second by Ms. Cordova. Let's go ahead and have a roll call.
Any further debate?
Just to cover us.
Point of order?
Motion and a second. It's on the floor. Let's have a roll call just to cover.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Bowen,
Yes.
Ms. Cordova,
Yes.
Mr. Heflin,
Yes.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Lucero.
Yes.
Thank you. And then the third part of this is exhibit B, which will require a contract and according to Sarah, we want to change that from 1 year to 3
For
years.
3 years. And I did have Steven look at our contract and it is approved. But I would like to do a 3 year instead of a 1 year because it is a pretty big stipend.
And we had some discussion over the clawback thing, you know what I mean? I mean, I don't,
So we will have a clawback. So if they do leave before the end of that, they'll have to pay it back. But it does revert back to the state.
it does revert back to the state.
Yes.
Okay, I knew Marilyn had asked that last
Yeah,
time. and
he
we
got
found out that
clarification.
if, okay, so we can claw it back, but it goes right back to the state.
So when it's clawed back, do they claw back the whole amount or is it like prorated?
We can prorate it based, if they were here a year, we'll prorate it for 2
Based
years.
on-
Yeah.
okay.
Good. So it's a 3-year contract, guys.
Yeah, 3-year contract.
Have it be. It's the change in that. I would entertain action on that.
Motion to approve with the 3-year contract.
Second. Motion by Ms. Cordova, second by Mr. Lopez. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay. Good job, chief, good job. Thank you. Let's keep them around a while.
Oh, no, it's just.
Just keep them around a while. Spend that money locally. He's pretty smart with it. All right.
Cars and houses.
Item M is PFAS, PFO, water contamination, Mr. Singleton or Schreiber. Who's here to represent?
I'm here.
All right, you can come up to, yeah, if you'll just go over to our podium there and introduce yourself and looks like you have a PowerPoint. Are we hooked up on that or you guys just got handouts?
We do, we have a PowerPoint, we want to do it, so if I could introduce your team, that.
Sure.
Thank you very much for taking the time. My name is Jerry Singleton. I'm the managing partner of Singleton and Schreiber. Here with us are Britt Stratman, who is the partner that heads our public entity practice, and then our expert, Michael Cassidy. He is from Group Delta and he works with us on the various PFAS issues. He can address the more esoteric engineering type questions. Also with us is Brandy Pino, Brandy, are you from Roosevelt initially? Okay, great. He is our head paralegal. So Brett, let me turn it over to you.
Yeah, may I approach?
Sure.
Thank you.
Very nice to use you. Thank you. Brandy, is your maiden name England? No, okay.
So, good evening, my name is Britt Stratman, and I'm head of the firm's public entity practice group. And we are here to talk to you about PFAS contamination. How much do you all know about PFAS and contamination? Okay, well, I'm actually gonna have Mike Cassidy here start off and give you a quick explanation of PFAS and how it impacts your community.
So this is a good place to begin.
Sure,
can
you're
use the
fine,
podium.
or at the podium, either way, the mic.
All right. So if it gets too dry, just let me know if you've heard this all before. And I'll move on. So PFAS, it's per and polyfluoral alkyl substances. And basically it's anything with a bond between a fluorine atom and a carbon atom. And that bond is really, really, really strong and it's hard to break. And that's why they call it the forever chemical. It's man-made. And so it doesn't occur naturally in nature. It's persistent in the environment. Again, that bond's really hard to break. So once it gets into the environment, it is there pretty much for good, and it's hazardous to human health. And so what are the sources of PFAS? Well, the 3M company in DuPont created it back in the 40s. The military used it. It was great for like coating tanks so they didn't rust and things like that. And then they found out about firefighting foam and they developed a PFAS infused firefighting foam that was used and it works fantastic on hydrocarbon fires, any kind of jet fuel, anything like that burning, this could put it right out. But they used about 3% of the PFAS in the firefighting foam. So there's a number of products that ended up with this in it recently in the news, ski wax, toilet paper, there's makeup, food wrappers, goes on and on and on. They found thousands and thousands and thousands of uses for this. Smaller concentrations, but still there and they build up. And so where does all this PFAS end up? It can end up in your landfills because all the trash that gets thrown away that was made with PFAS ends up in the landfill, right? And then the landfill, the leachate that goes through the landfill can get into the groundwater. And so you end up with PFAS that way. Wastewater treatment plants, same thing. PFAS is in your body.
if you were to get a blood test right now, you'd almost certainly have concentrations of PFAS in it. And, you know, that comes out of you and goes into the wastewater treatment plants, makeup that has PFAS in it, same thing. Goes on and on. So your wastewater treatment plants, a lot of them that we look at, there'll be PFAS at a certain concentration in the influent water, and it actually increases in the effluent water because of the treatment process, but it comes out the other side. So a lot of communities have been taking the treated water that they thought was clean enough to reuse and reusing it for things, and that treated water has PFAS in it. And so it ends up spread all over the place, and it doesn't break down, so it builds up over time, and you can end up with problems because of that. So landfills, wastewater treatment plants, the sludge and the biosolids, if anybody uses biosolids on their farm, a lot of folks have been running into problems with the biosolids that come from the wastewater treatment plants because they have PFAS in them. So yet another problem. Thought it was a good, you know, some groups even sell their sludge, their biosolids from their wastewater treatment plants, but then people go use them on their organic farms and things like that. Ends up being a problem. So why is it bad? It's toxic for humans. Reproductive effects, decreased fertility, increased high blood pressure in pregnant women, developmental effects and delays in children, low birth weight, accelerated puberty, bone variations, behavioral changes, increased risk of cancers, prostate, testicular, and kidney, to name a few. Reduced ability of the body's immune system to fight infection, and interference with the body's natural hormones. And to add insult to injury, it can increase your cholesterol. So the regulations on PFAS, they've been slowly but surely finding out about this through time. And so they've been, I've got another slide here pretty quick that talks about the back in 2009, when they started setting limits on this stuff, it was 400 parts per trillion for one of the main PFAS, which was PFOA, and 200 parts per trillion for a second type of PFAS called PFOS. And those are the two they've targeted. Those are the two that they're putting regulations on. But there's really about 6 million of these substances. Those are the two that they've just decided, okay, we can use the most. These have toxic issues. And so we're going to track and we're going to regulate those. And so through time, they found out more and more and done more and more toxicological studies and found out at lower and lower concentrations that this stuff is not good for you and it shouldn't be ingested. It's not good for animals. It's not good for plants. So they get to today, and they're saying the federal EPA wants to set a limit of 4 parts per trillion in drinking water for PFAS. This year, we expect it also to be declared a hazardous waste. And then there'll be a maximum contaminant level. That's that 4 parts per trillion. They'll set it for groundwater as well. But if you're drinking groundwater, there's already an MCL for that. So state of New Mexico, where are we finding the problems are Air Force bases. You folks are probably familiar with that because of Cannon Air Force Base. There is a big issue out there with it. They didn't do anything wrong. They just, used it to fight fires and to train and train and train and train and train. And they, yeah, go ahead.
One thing I do want to stress, because this is a question we get from a lot of communities, we're absolutely not suing the military or the federal government. This is not their fault. They are a victim here as well. This is the responsibility of 3M, DuPont, the other makers who've known this was toxic for several decades and who have not shared it. But there's absolutely no intent to go after them.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No problem at all. And so it's fantastic. This foam really works on hydrocarbon fires. And so if a plane crashes or something like that or catches fire, you hit it with foam and you put it out, which is great and saved a lot of lives. Problem is 3% PFAS in the foam. Nobody knew it was bad. Now we do. So a lot of that has gotten down through the soil into the groundwater and has spread out in the groundwater and shouldn't, be ingested by humans or animals, and you shouldn't have it in your crops. And sure enough,
that water was being used. There's farmland just south and east of there. It abuts the base, and a lot of that property is contaminated. So Air Force bases, Cannon and Holloman both have issues. There's the National Guard. There's a number of bases where there are suspected problems. And also airports, of course, because they use the firefighting foam as well. And a lot of the hangars at airports use the firefighting foam. And I've seen hangar go off just because it was raining and the system short circuited and the whole hangar filled up with foam. All that, they try to recover it, but a lot of it ends up going into the storm drain and ends up in the water. So well testing in Curry and Roosevelt counties, 2021, the New Mexico Environment Department tested the wells in partnership with the USGS. And they did find some issues across the state. And at the time, the screening level was 70 parts per trillion. But as today, it's down to 4 parts per trillion. So at the time, it didn't seem that bad, but now what used to be not a problem is a problem. So Air Force bases, fire training areas, if they use the Class B firefighting foam that contains the PFAS, there's issues there. Drinking water, obviously, wells get impacted, agriculture, wastewater treatment plants, and also refineries. So if there's any large above ground storage tank facilities, they use the firefighting foam as well. Very high concentrations of PFAS. So the local issues, talked a little bit about them right now. 2022 EPCOR discovered 10 of their wells had PFAS in them. And EPCOR is doing a great job. They test their wells, quarterly or sometimes once a month. So they're staying up on top of it. Tower Well in Texaco, New Mexico tested positive for PFAS in February and December 2021. Sand Hill 3 well in Portales had a little PFAS in it back in August 2020.
So when you say a little, well, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, no problem at all. Yeah, a couple of parts per trillion. Yeah, I've got the data here and I can share that if you want me to pull up that particular one. And this is available for everybody on the Alice.
While Mike's looking up
Yeah.
the number, it's just important to know that today, because the EPA set the levels 4 parts per trillion, that anything above that, you are going to be mandated to clean up. And that was in the draft proposed regulation today.
Yeah, one of them was 1.3 parts per trillion, and then another test they did was 1.6 parts per trillion. And not too bad, which is good, but it's there. So where did it come from? And there are a number of suspects, but with the new regulations, testing is going to kick in and the wells are going to have to be tested much more often. This was just a one-time deal to check and see, hey, what do we got going on out here? And so one of the things I've studied for 33 years is contamination in groundwater, and groundwater moves. And in New Mexico, it moves to the south and east. And the plume from the Air Force Base is moving from the south and east. And it's, becoming an issue along the way. Air Force Base gives an update every 3 months. I don't know if any of you check that out. The next one is tomorrow. And in the last one, they produced a map that shows the plume coming off the corner of the base there. And so there may be an update on that. We'll see. They've done a lot of work out there, a lot of well drilling and a lot of activity like that, trying to find out how bad the plume is. They haven't started cleaning up yet. So, all right. And of course, Cannon Air Force Base drinking water wells, a bunch of them are contaminated. Highland Dairy has a big problem. And a bunch of the cows were euthanized because of that problem. So the future regulation, that's today 4 parts per trillion. And once they get machines that will go lower than that, because that's getting around the accurate reporting limit, they're going to lower it even further.
And also to that point, sorry that I'm standing back here and just helping out with the PowerPoint.
Thank you.
Thank you, by the way. Yeah, the EPA regulation is really important today because it did mandate that municipalities have to monitor, test, and remediate these chemicals. So that puts a burden on you if any of your contamination levels come out 4 or above parts per trillion.
I ask, what is the remediation for it? Is there technology that filters that out, or, I mean, what's
Yes,
out there?
there is, and I'll have Mike speak to it, and it's very expensive, unfortunately.
It can be for drinking water wells. The county I live in spent over $1 billion to do pilot tests, build a system and begin treatment. I'm not saying that's going to happen here, but it's an example of how much it can cost. They were pretty proactive about it, which I of course appreciated. But I've heard 10 million a well. It can be, numbers like that. So there are remedial options. You're probably in some way, shape, or form using granular activated carbon. You can continue to use that. You add resin in one of the big containers, run it through that. Reverse osmosis also works. But you have to do it more. A lot of the contaminants that people worry about are in the parts per million. So 3 orders of magnitude below that, you get the parts per billion, and there's some contaminants, there's like benzene and groundwater from a gas station leak. You're in the 5 parts per billion range. Well, this, you drop it down 3 more orders of magnitude, and you're into the parts per trillion and the low parts per trillion, which is where we are right now with PFAS.
So Jerry and I can speak to the multi-district litigation. If that's a fancy word of saying a really big lawsuit in federal court with 2,000 cases against 40 defendants. 2 of the main defendants are DuPont and 3M. As you know, those are large corporations, and then 38 other defendants. And currently there are public entities involved in the MDL. Jerry and I and our team have been reaching out to other cities and counties within the state of New Mexico. It helps to work together and strengthen numbers and share costs. So that's what we are here to present to you and to let you know that we've been talking to other cities and counties as well within the state.
Yeah, so essentially the way that it works is, and I don't know if anyone's familiar with MDL litigation, but what happens is all of these cases are coordinated and assigned to a single judge. In this case, it's in South Carolina. And so in June, there will be 2 trials that will go to test out these theories. Now, we don't think they'll actually go. 3M is starting to settle now. They've settled with the state of Minnesota for almost $1 billion. There is a settlement, I understand, that's about to be reached with the state of Oregon. And then there are many, many other municipalities that are involved. And I'm using municipalities loosely to account for both cities, counties, and states. But where there are the strongest cases are situations where you have wells or you have contaminated water, and you have to remediate them in the manner that Mike was saying. And so essentially what we're talking about doing is doing the testing. And then if we find that there are any of these chemicals there, then pricing out what the remediation measures would be, and then that would be the claim. So that's the way that the process would work. I'm assuming that there was participation here in the opioid litigation. This one's going to be different. We have spoken with some of the folks who were involved in the opioids, and there was some concern about how that was handled in certain respects. Here, I think it's going to be different, and the reason for that is that everyone is essentially going to have their own claim. There was a lot of overlap because you're talking about where the monies were coming from, that sort of thing. Here, we're talking about if you have a contaminated well, contaminated groundwater, it is very readily ascertainable what it's going to take to fix that particular problem, whether it's 10 million a well, whether it's a more expensive system at the wellhead, whatever that is going to be, we can have our experts price that out, and then that would be your specific demand. So even though neighboring municipalities, the state, and many states and other municipalities are going to be making claims, it's easy to ascertain what your specific damages are. And so I think we're going to avoid some of the issues that, as I understand it, took place in opioid. We were not involved in that. But again, in speaking with people all around the state, a lot of folks have voiced some concerns and don't want the same mistakes to be repeated. So.
I believe your city attorney's not here today.
Yes.
Oh,
Ah,
there
we go.
Sorry.
Okay.
So I've been practicing for 23 years. I've been in-house. I was an AG, a DA, and a city attorney with San Francisco as of 7 months ago. And I've also worked for firms on behalf of public entities. So I understand firsthand that this does place a burden on all of you. And our team, part of our specialty is coming in as a parachute, Mike doing the testing, alleviating your resources and doing whatever we can to help you and get your money that you should, receive because of this corporation's misconduct.
So basically, that is it. I really appreciate your time. I wanted to open up. Does anyone have any questions that I can answer, that Mike can answer for Britt, anything like that? Any of the council members? Jim?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So you're talking about municipalities. What about individual well owners that, in the counties and stuff? How do they get into this? I can understand cities and stuff like that, but what about the individuals?
So they can make claims as well. And the interesting thing about this is that there are a couple of different components. One of the problems with the AFFF, the aqueous film forming foam that Mike was talking about, it's hard to say that, so we just call it aqueous firefighting foam. But AFFF is the shorthand, is that because the PFAS are in there, we've noticed that over the last several decades, firefighters are developing cancer at a dramatically increased rate. And it's particularly common in reproductive areas. And they figured out that the reason for that has to do with the gear that the firefighters wear. It actually has PFAS in it, and it's concentrated in areas around their waist. So you get higher rates of testicular cancer, you get kidney cancer, you get things like that. And then the same thing with women, ovarian, that sort of thing. So there's a separate, we call it a bucket for the firefighters. So you've got the municipalities, you've got the individual firefighters, and then you've got individuals themselves who may have a well, who may have a number of wells, that kind of thing. They're bringing suits as well. The most common individual, and I'm using that term loosely to apply to a corporation, are the dairies. Some of the dairies have filed suit. As I'm sure everyone heard, unfortunately, there were 3,000 cows that had to be euthanized because the PFAS were present in the milk. So you have a lot of those types of situations. So to answer your question, if you're an individual, you have a well and you'd like to have it tested and remediated, you can join the suit, absolutely. What we're doing is pitching right now to municipalities, but we also represent individuals. And if people have questions, we're certainly happy to talk with them and represent them if they need help.
Thank you.
And we upfront all the costs too, just so you know, for the testing.
Yeah.
I just have one quick question. We tested positive on Sand Hill Well 3 back in August 2020. Is that correct, what you said? It was 1.3 parts and 1.6 parts. Anything above 4 parts, we have to take care of, correct?
Yeah.
Do we know if we've been tested since 2020?
Find out.
But I'd like to know what we are now. That'd be very useful.
If that's increased, for sure.
Yeah,
And I don't know what, and that's something that we probably need to be informed of. As council, is how often we do test for that. Did Steve leave? Anyway, or get Chris Cordova. Oh, there you are.
You know how much.
You may not know, but I bet Chris Cordova
I'll
would
give you
probably
an
be able
answer.
to give us, or
Fertilizer.
Don DeShay still draws a paycheck, so maybe he can find out.
And one of the services we do offer is if you would like us to retain us to go in and test, then that's something we can do. And because that is, we would be your attorneys for the purpose of doing that, that would be attorney-client privileged. And you could decide when and if to disseminate it, but that's information that you have. One of the things that we recommend people doing is testing and seeing what the situation is, because once these regulations become final, then it's something that you are going to have to deal with. And it's certainly better to get out ahead of it. So that's a service that we can help out with if there's interest from the council.
Great. Could I find out how much is that service cost?
We'll advance all the costs for testing.
Okay.
So ultimately, we would seek to recover that as part of the suit. But the tests can run, they can be anywhere from a couple thousand to higher, depending upon the volume of testing and how many different things are tested. But again, that's something that we would advance. And the only way we get any money back, either for the costs or for fees, is if we're successful in the suit.
So we have to make a formal presentation to you for a test.
All you'd have to do is just, you can retain us just to test. That's fine as well. But what you would say is you just reach out to us, let us know that you'd like us to retain us for this. That way, the attorney-client privilege would attach. We would do the testing, we would give you the results, and then you can decide what to do from there.
Any other questions?
I got one more, just real quick,
ahead.
Mayor. You mentioned that the standard is changing today. I believe you said today. Is that a state, a national law, or the EPA is just doing it? How, when you said today, what does that mean? Where's that at?
Right, so what happened is this morning, prior to this, it had been 70 parts per trillion.
Yes.
This morning, the EPA came out with its long-awaited new regulations. And those dropped the 70 parts per trillion to the 4 parts per trillion.
Okay, so it's just an EPA guideline. It didn't go through the House or Senate or anything in the state. It's a total EPA thing.
It's total EPA. It should become a final regulation. There's a 60-day comment period. That certainly may be extended, but once it does, then it requires the force of law the way regulatory laws do.
Great, thank you.
Anything else? Orlando? Yes, sir.
Council, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm interested to know if you communicated with the New Mexico Attorney General and what are their response to your efforts with the lawsuit?
So the state of New Mexico has filed suit for some areas. They haven't done it completely, but they have filed with some areas around Air Force bases. So that suit is ongoing. But this is going to be completely separate. Certainly all of the groups will be proceeding together as plaintiffs and going against 3M, DuPont, and the other ones. But this will be separate, and it won't be the same as it was in opioids, for example, where the Attorney General ultimately decided to a large extent how the money was divided up. This will be a separate suit, and each group will have their own attorneys.
But we would work collaboratively with the agent's
Certainly.
office.
Yeah.
So have you communicated with them, the New Mexico Environmental Department?
Mike, you have great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Communicated with NMED. This is where I got a lot of this. So it's been- And they were really proactive. They've done a great job of trying to get on top of this. I was impressed.
Anything else?
Well, thank you for your time. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you again.
And we have an office in Clovis as well, too.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I talk to you after the meeting?
All right, moving along. Item N is public input for which no action will be taken, any matter not known about, or which could not have reasonably been foreseen prior to the time of the posting of the agenda. This agenda item is for informational purposes only. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker, limited to 1 presentation per meeting, and no more than 6 speakers on each subject. Counselors will not respond to comments or answer questions to avoid any violations of the Open Meetings Act. Direct any questions or requests for information to the city manager in writing during regular business hours. Is there anything from the public? Staff?
Just good vibes for City Hall because we have staff dropping. Good vibes for City Hall, please.
Good vibes. Don't go over there.
Yeah, thanks.
Stay away.
Yes, so I have requested that Chad and I be able to go to the commission meeting on the 21st to continue negotiations with dispatch. And so we can move forward with fire and EMS. They have graciously accepted for us to be there. And then I also asked if Ricky could come and give us like a presentation on RR6. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I let Sarah know she's gonna place him on the agenda for the 28th, so we're extending small olive branches to see if we can, start working together.
Good.
So
Oh, I appreciate that.
I think we're moving in the right direction. Chad, if you can be there, I don't know if you'll be in town. Yep,
Absolutely.
and then Sarah, if you'll be there as well, just in case we have questions. There, and then
And that's next Tuesday, right? Nine.
next Tuesday at 9 o'clock, yes. And that's all I have.
Mr. Lopez? Anything? Daniel?
Yeah, somebody from the community asked me why there are no swings at the parks. I know you mentioned it to me before, but
Insurance does not cover swing sets anymore, so we've had to remove them.
but they cover a skate park. I
Sure.
feel like you get hurt more at a skate park than,
I totally agree, but I don't make the rules.
I'll let them know.
We had, so at Rotary Park, there was my niece was actually on a swing and it snapped and it welt her leg, so.
Yeah, it's probably needed to be updated. All them
Yes.
parks need to be updated.
Yes.
And hopefully Rotary Parks.
Yeah, we're working towards that.
I still like those old metal slides we used to have.
So that's papers.
Burgundy.
Everything else.
Still some citizens that still have scars from those little skies in this town.
One at the swimming pool, metal, Orlando? Wasn't the one at the swimming pool or metal at first? It never was. All right, maybe I'm older than I thought I was. Hey, now. Anyways, thanks, Daniel. Yeah, Oscar. No. Kendrick. Jimmy.
We have to sign something before we leave, correct? Just want to make sure
Correct, yeah,
before we
she's
all,
got
I'm like,
that.
I'm one of the ones that hit the door pretty quick,
Yeah,
so.
she's got that coming around.
Perfect.
The only thing I would mention is, we got an email today from the county, Miss Hamilton reached out. There was a groundbreaking for the food bank. They're building a new food bank. I believe it sounds like it over there by La Casa.
It's right behind the Bonham home, I believe.
Oh, is it right behind it?
Yeah, that empty field behind the Bonham home.
Oh, okay, nice. Okay, but anyway, that's at 4 o'clock on the 14th. If any of you want to go over there and. Does that sound right, Sarah?
We're gonna build it.
It's a, what is it again? I'm sorry.
Food bank, yeah, food bank that the county received some funding for, and they're building over there.
Just another olive branch to show support to the county.
There you go. Anyway, anything else from the council? And we're not, we're removing item O tonight. We don't need
Yes.
that on there.
Yep.
The executive session. So at that point, then I'll adjourn the meeting at 6:40.